Hi, I'm Dr. Collins Harrell. I'm the clinical director here at Progressive Orthodontic Seminars. I have Miles McGann joining me, who's our company CEO. Miles, I know you and Don have been working for the last several years on a new project that you're excited about. Can you tell us about this new project and why you're excited about it?
Well, it's been, COVID was a very difficult time for all of us. And, those of you who know myself and my father realize that when you give us time, the brains start moving of what can we do to make our lives better. So we spent that time looking at, what our clients were going through, both pre-COVID, now with COVID, and then looking for the future of how this is going to change the dental practices. And with that in mind and with those changes, how could we change our product line and what we were offering to provide them with a better service and provide them more with what they need? And really thinking through what made Progressive good. What was the secret sauce that we've been doing for 40 years that built this great network of very loyal customers? And why do they keep coming to us? And why are they being so successful? So with all of that in mind, we started really brainstorming on how do we make orthodontics simpler? When we were looking through, the post-COVID world, we realized that with the shutting down of these doctors' offices, when they went back to the practice, they were going to want to work harder. They were going to want to work more so that they could, make back everything that they had lost. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, the nature of dental practice was going to change for our clients. And as we were the ones teaching ortho, how could we adjust to make ortho fit in better with what they were doing? And one of the biggest problems, that a lot of our students struggle with is the time and energy and effort that goes into making the orthodontic diagnosis absolutely fantastic.
Right.
And getting the quality of ortho done to the level that we demand and to the level that's demanded of the GP.
Right.
In order to be successful in your practice. And so to do that, we've created all these great systems with SmileStream and with the bracket system and everything else that, if you follow what we tell you to do, you're going to get great results. But to follow what we tell you to do, it's going to take you between an hour and 2 hours to really diagnose these cases the right way. And so as, the dentists started, building up their practices and becoming more busy, finding time for that extra hour or 2 hours in a day becomes more challenging. So now we're starting to push them into nights and weekends. And, that's puts pressure on them to start making decisions about, are they willing to practice that way or do they need to start making compromises? So we came up with a strategy of, okay, how can we use technology to shorten and simplify the IP system? How do we make it so that we can use technology to allow our doctors to diagnose a case in 15 minutes, yet still achieve that same level of quality? Right. Because we're not willing to allow our doctors to do, lesser work. And we are understanding of those that have had to take shortcuts trying to speed that up, but that comes at a cost. So for us, we were trying to figure out ways of creating a better way. And, I'm very excited with what we came up with. It's been as I said, a 3-year project and running, and we had to come out with it in phases. So the first phase, is this progressive aligners project that you're seeing now. And, this was a necessary foundational piece to make this whole project possible. And we are trying to simplify orthodontics, get back to what we were back in 1984, get back to what so many of our clients loved about us, and really build off that while still utilizing the high quality results we've built over the past 40 years as we became more complicated. And so how can we make that happen?
Right. So what part in this whole system that you are developing to make this more simple and easier for our doctors, what part does progressive aligners, why did you need to bring aligners into this? What part does that play?
So aligners has become, an integral part of almost every dental offices providing orthodontics. You can't really provide orthodontics in today's market without offering aligners. People do, but your patients demand it. And just because your patients demand it doesn't mean you should do it. But with the developments in aligners and the development of people learning how to manipulate this and diagnose this well, you can achieve a phenomenal result using aligners. And so because of that, aligners becomes a very important piece in the POS toolbox. And so if I'm going to design a efficient, simple system that's going to still achieve the highest level results, the only way to do that is to have every piece of that be the highest quality product possible, designed in a way that we can control how it's produced and how much time it takes, and still efficiently put that into a system of education and support to make sure that all of our users can use that product well, can get the results consistently they want. And that's what becomes so important. And so it can't just be a bracket system, it has to be a complete ortho system. So what we're coming out with is a complete ortho system. Now looking at what we have currently, in my opinion, I think the opinion of most of my instructors and everyone else around this company, the IP appliance is the best appliance out there. We've been doing it for 20 years, we've used it, it's fantastic, the results are incredible. When it came to the aligners, we've been playing around with a lot of different companies. And we have users using every different company, we've supported every different company, our instructors do consulting and mentoring in every different company. And unfortunately, the experience of that has been pretty up and down. And what we've seen is that many of these companies, while they have an effective product, the product is designed for the orthodontic specialist. It's designed for someone that's starting 300, 400, 500 cases a year, not our typical GP that's starting between 10 and 20 cases a year. And the demands of a GP practice is frankly different than that of an orthodontic practice. And so when we started coming up with this total simplification process, we needed to take the aligner portion of that, get it under control, get it to what we wanted it to be for our clients, while only allowing it to be the best product out there. And so we had to hunt out the best company that we could find to partner with. Work through all of them, and I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to work with almost all the different companies and decide which one we wanted. And then once we found the company we wanted, how do we adapt this product to make it suit our customers' needs the best? And so we've been very fortunate, the company's been willing to work with us on this. And so that's what we're releasing, is a product that I can legitimately stand here and say, after talking to hundreds of our clients, many of our instructors that have used this product for going on 5 years now, and know how to use this product well, that it is by far the best product in the world, and we're taking that product and we're adapting it and putting it as part of the POS system and making it so our users will be able to use this effectively and really achieve great ortho with aligners in their practice.
And as you know, I'm thrilled with the company that we're partnering with and for the product that we're going to have. I'm really excited to be able to offer this to our doctors. Does that mean that they have to use this product? Are they going to be supported if they use other aligner companies? What are your thoughts on that?
So really, the company philosophy since the beginning has been we're here to teach you great ortho. The reason why we came out with the IP appliance, the reason why we come out with PDS, if you go back to 1984, was we needed consistency for our clients to be able to do the work that we're teaching them. If you go back to the history of when PDS came out, the whole reasoning was they were calling my dad and saying, his students were calling my dad and saying, you talked about this product, I don't know where to get this product. I've called 5 or 6 different companies, there's so many different options. If I buy the wrong one, am I going to be able to reproduce what you've done? And so what we've learned from that process is, if we simplify the product purchasing down so that everyone's using the same products that we are, and we test it and we're knowledgeable and we know that this works, and we design the educational system and the support system around those products, then we can guarantee success on 100% of cases because it's predictable how that product is going to work. So when it comes to brackets, we have the IP appliance. It works absolutely fantastic. If you want to go out and buy brackets from someplace else, I have no problem with that. I'm not going to tell you that that is a bad decision that you are making. Now, I truly believe that IP is the best, and I stand behind it, and that probably gives me the confidence to say that. But if you have your reasoning for going out and doing that, especially once you are a skilled and knowledgeable doctor, where you can fix any problem, then by all means, that's your choice.
Right.
And the same thing with aligners. Can you get a good aligner result using any of these companies? The answer is yes. There are certain products that work better than others. But for us to have consistency for all of our clients, we need to have a consistent product that performs the way we want it to perform and behaves the way we want it to behave, and the company behaves the way we want it to behave, so that our clients can reliably get what they need, and we can build protocols around that so that we can be the most efficient and get the best results at the end.
Right. So we all know that when the Aligner Plus seminars came out, we tried to partner with a company to be able to have some level of support and education based around a certain product. With varied levels of success, since we're a worldwide company and we have doctors all over the world, how is what we're doing right now with progressive aligners different from what we tried to do in the past with another company?
Well, it kind of led me to it. I mean, if you go back to the world of POS, for those of you that were our original clients from '84 to 2003, we sold Ormco brackets. That was the brand that we were supported by. But what we realized is we started losing control, and we weren't able to, get the consistency and the tools that we needed for our clients to use. We tried the same thing with aligners. We tried to make it a universal product that could be used with any different system. And we hoped that the manufacturers and our partners would behave in a way that allowed our clients to get the results they wanted, the support they wanted, the price they wanted, every piece of this, to make it so that this worked in the GP practice. Unfortunately, as you saw, all the different partners we had, trying to get it on a global basis, trying to get them to behave the way we wanted to, trying to get them to offer the product that we wanted our clients to have, and trying to build a system around it, just never happened. We didn't have enough control. And the product wasn't developed in the way that I was hoping it would be. So this kind of pushed me to, hey, it's time for us to come out with our own, to partner with the best company out there, pick the company that had the most going for it, so that I could have the best product on the industry. Because for GPs to be successful on doing ortho on a part-time basis, we can't use an inferior product. We need every tool at our disposal to make this as simple as possible. Mm-hmm. And so we decided, hey, let's go out, let's find the best product, and let's tailor it to the needs of our clients. And if I do that, then I have control, because it's under my brand name. And once I have control, then I can start to build all the support systems and all the education around that single product, which now makes the education more efficient and more effective. It allows the protocols to be more efficient and more effective. It allows the customer support to be more efficient and more effective. And all these end up with a more efficient system where we can start to whittle this down as part of the bigger project and make ortho potentially a 15-minute process instead of an hour to 2.
Right. So Don, your dad, our founder, the genius behind Progressive Orthodontic Seminars and the IP appliance and all of this, he's been an integral part of developing this new system, which includes a part of that being progressive aligners, but it's a much bigger system that you guys have been working on. What has been his unique role and I guess his unique perspective based on what he's doing right now as you've worked with him on this project?
Well, one of the interesting parts about my dad's background is that he was always known as a bracket guy, but I think that's a little bit of a misunderstanding of who he actually is. He's never actually cared about what the product is that he's using. The company, what the bracket is, what all this stuff is, doesn't matter to him. It's all just a tool in his toolbox for how he can achieve the level of results for his students that he wants. So coming from the bracket side, when he was looking at aligners back in the 1990s, and these big companies are trying to get him to take on aligners and be their mentor, and be their champion, he declined that because he never felt like he could get consistent results. He himself could achieve great results with it because he's an extremely skilled doctor. But just because he can get results from it doesn't mean that he can teach it to the world. He's got a higher level of understanding that he's got thousands of people that look to him for guidance on how they can be successful. So if he puts out a system that is unsuccessful for each and every one of them, it becomes a major problem. Because in the field of GP ortho, a single bad case ruins that doctor's career. There's pressure on the GPs to not do ortho. You get that pressure from dental school, you get that pressure once you're in practice. Ortho is the forbidden fruit. Mm-hmm. And so for you, if you have a bad case in that environment, the pressure that comes down on you is high. And so a single bad case becomes a career-altering event. So therefore, everything that he built was built around no bad cases. And with aligners in the past, he felt like he couldn't achieve that. When David Dana and I started working on the aligner project, in around 2015 or so, it came down to, I felt like that aligners had developed to a level that if we diagnosed well, you could get that same level of predictability. Mm-hmm. But you had to be careful about which cases you took. You had to be careful about how to diagnose the case and building that diagnosis to the level that it needs to be in order to have predictable results. And you had to have a bracket background so that if something went wrong, you could always put brackets on and get yourself out of the mess. Right. And that's kind of become the secret sauce of how aligners works for everyone is, well, if you have a bracket background, you can always get yourself out of a problem if the patient's not cooperating or if some other issue arises. So my dad walked in when we started writing the Aligner Plus class to take that class because he was curious. He's fascinated. He wants to always learn. He's a lifelong learner. Yeah. And so he sat through David's 12-day class with David and Daniel, Daniel Azzani doing it, and he kind of got the foundation for where aligners were today. And then he approached me and he said, well, do you mind if I start doing aligner diagnosis? And I said, of course. If you want to jump into this, you can. And he says, well, I need more information on it, so I'm going to find a mentor. And so he picked up Dr. Amit Lala to form a team so that Amit would oversee and mentor him of how to diagnose these cases. And I thought that was a really interesting approach of, the head guy who's been teaching people for years having the humility to say, I need a mentor who's got more experience, but I want to do this because it's fascinating to me.
And he never wants to be left behind.
Never wants to be left behind. And it truly, it's a passion of his to see this company succeed, to see his students succeed. And so, he never intended to make this into a career again. It's just more something to do and something that was exciting to him.
Right.
And so, and then the thing that really surprised me about how he approached it was he developed this, system of mentorees where he convinced these mentorees to send him the exact records that he used to get from Manila. Where I want monthly records, I want CEFs, and I'm going to, create these files just like I was getting from Manila. But the interesting part was that he was getting these cases from all over the world, where he had clients in the US, he had clients in Australia, he had clients in Europe, he had clients in Asia. They were sending him cases from every different company. And then he was sitting down and him and Amit were working up these cases and he was spending hours on every case and then mentoring the cases to the end and seeing monthly photos, monthly records, and then he went back and started doing things the way he used to do POS, where he's out there, overlaying. He's comparing slides to side. He's dropping all this into PowerPoint. He's creating Excel sheets where he's, documenting what kind of cases these all were. He's looking at intraoral scans and seeing what can you see there that I couldn't see in a model or a clinical photo. And the mentality started moving of, wait, this aligner tool is something that's really powerful if we truly understand it.
Sure.
But I'm not going to take anyone's word for how it works because I don't trust them.
It's not the Don way.
I need to prove every single aspect of how aligners work to me. Mm-hmm. I need to see, and I need to prove it with overlays. Right. And I need to understand, just because they say the tooth moves this direction because this is the reason why, and that's what the textbook says, until I can see that in a case and document that happens, I don't believe it. Right. And so that absolute manic, looking at every case he had and studying every case he had became a true passion for him. And it became a passion for him because his mentors were thriving off of what they were doing. And he could sense that and feel that, where it was, hey, this guy is thriving. And because he's thriving, the work that I'm doing is important.
Right.
And, it's important to that person's career. And he likes to say, I'm building that person's career. And that's really how he sees every one of the POS students, is he sees them as his family. And he sees it as it's his responsibility to build their career. And so as we started getting into the aligners, that's the perspective he took, which is I need to make the best product possible. I need to control as much of this as I possibly can so that I build as many people's careers as I possibly can. And the way to do that is by creating a system that we have control over. That's the best system in the world that we can find, partnering with the best company out there that we can find, and building something that is tailored to our clients. And that's the perspective that he took to it. And it kind of forced me to, really search the entire world, find the best companies, work with the best companies, and create that product for everyone.
So Progressive Orthodontic Seminars has always been an education company and always been committed to teaching the best orthodontic education available to the general dentist.
Right.
And teaching us to be as good or better than the specialist, which is what we've always taught. So what's your vision for this company moving forward, and how do these parts, the progressive aligners and this other project that you're working on that's coming, how does this fit into your vision of the company moving forward, staying true to these values that we've always had?
Well, if you go back to 1984, what we were originally known for was this is the simple way of doing ortho. We're going to create a very simple system for you to follow. And if you follow the system, you're going to get excellent results. And it was understandable to everyone, no matter what your background was, no matter if you were first in your class at dental school or last in your class, no matter if you were from the most prestigious dental school in the world or from Timbuktu and some dental school that no one had ever heard of. And we're going to take you and we're going to teach you a way of doing ortho where the quality of ortho that you are going to do is not only going to be better than everyone in your community, but it's going to be something that you can put on the table at the highest levels of ortho in the world and get respect for. And so with that in mind, over the years, it's become my dad's obsession of how do we continue to add new capabilities to the system to improve the quality that we have, because we have this enormous drive to make our guys do not only equal work to everyone else, but better work. And so the system, as we got better and better and better, honestly became slightly more complicated. And we knew that. And it was part of a calculated movement of we want the best results. To get those results, we need to add complexity. How much complexity can we add while keeping all of our students still capable of doing it and not making it only a system for the best of the best? And so we've gone that far and we've continued down that route, but are we still in a place where 100% of clients can do it? Well, if they put the effort in. But there's effort that they must make. And so one of the things that we, as we went through COVID, started looking at was, well, we're very good at catering to the clients that we have that are willing to spend 48 days of education, willing to continue to study, willing to spend an hour to 2 on diagnosis, willing to do all these things that we are asking them to do to achieve this work. But what about everyone else? And what about for those guys that aren't so willing to do that now that COVID has come and their careers are changing? And so the focus that we had was, or the challenge that we gave us, was how do we keep that quality at the level that it's always been, but make it simpler? And so how do we, and how do you accomplish that? And the way that you accomplish that is by using technology to your advantage. So you have to have all the best parts, which means you got to have the best brackets, you got to have the best aligners, you got to have the best education, you got to have the best system. But at the end of the day, that can only take you so far. But if you have all those parts and you can use technology, you can make the system think for you. You can make the system do more. And therefore, you can simplify the entire process. I look at it, I was inspired a lot by the way the car industry's changed. Back in the 60s, you could take, that 1962 Mustang and pull it in your garage, and you'd have guys out there that could fix everything, and that car would never have to go to an auto place to deal with it, to fix it. You could do that on your own. Today's cars, you cannot fix them on your own. You have to have a computer to diagnose that problem, because these machines become so incredibly complicated that you have to use software, you have to use technology, you have to do all these things to make this machine run. But from the user perspective, in the 60s, you had to have manual shift. You had to use a clutch. You had to do all these things to drive this car around.
To roll down the window.
Roll down the windows with your arm. But now we don't even have to have a key to walk in. You push a button, the car starts. You just drive. And we don't actually think about all the technology that's in that car anymore. We just go out to our car, get in, and drive. And that's the way that I'm trying to create orthodontics to be, where our students don't think about everything that goes into this case. Instead, they see what they want presented in a way that's good. We use technology to show them what they want, and then from there, they drive it to the end with a lot less thought and a lot less diagnosis. So this is the dream. This is what we're trying to accomplish. And at the end of the day, end up with a better result than we had previously. And so, as I said, the progressive aligners part is a foundational piece. We need every piece of the puzzle to be the best in the industry, and we need to have control over it to make it the best for our clients. But it's only a piece. To really change the way our doctors, work, we need to recreate a complete orthodontic system that allows them to, be efficient and, really get to the next level.
So in addition to the progressive aligners that's coming out right now, which I'm very excited about, what you're telling us is that there's more to come?
There's absolutely more to come. Sometime in the next 6 to 8 months, we're going to be coming out with a new product, another product. We'll start up the update again, so you guys will have some live seminars to come do. And you'll see what Don and I have been working on for the past 3 years, and you've seen now too. And we'll present this to all of you.
It's exciting times.